Hello and welcome to our channel. Preparing for a career in research could be quite overwhelming for people who are just starting out. And here, it's full of fun, provided you are very well prepared for it. So here in this video, we shall talk about 10 such important areas that you should focus while building a perfect portfolio going forward for a career in research. Number one, your typing speed. And typing speed means you need to also understand the computer on which you would be working on. For example, if you're using a Windows PC or a Mac OS, you should be well adept at handling that computer. Now, why typing is important? Because over the entire length of your career, you shall be typing, writing all through. And if you learn this skill, you can focus on what you're actually writing instead of searching for particular letters on your keypad. This will save you a lot of time and also help you in very accurately expressing yourself on the written format. And this is one area which will give you much advantage over many of your peers who are typing with either one hand or a single finger and hunting down letters one by one. The other area that you should focus on is how to do a review of literature. Now, this is the starting point for most researchers, and you should know how to search at least on PubMed. Many a times you'll find that people do not actually take up this kind of training. These are easily available videos. There are many resources on the internet where you could learn how to do a proper PubMed search. And of course, there are many training sessions organized in small workshop formats, in individual discussion groups, where you could master this skill. Once you understand how to review literature effectively, you will be able to identify key topics where you could research. So identifying a research question becomes easier if you know how to do a review of literature. Of course, writing a review of literature is another skill set which you may actually want to acquire, because that's the stepping stone for most researchers. Usually we get started by writing a review first. Now, the third part is undertaking some basic training in Microsoft Excel. This is a software which is an inevitable go-to software for most researchers. You must know how to use Microsoft Excel. Of course, to top it up, you must also acquire skills at handling a couple of statistical analysis software. So there are many softwares available, both in paid domain as well as in free domain, and you can acquire these skills. Maybe you want to learn EpiInfo or SPSS or Stata. Some advanced people go for SAS, R. Even Python these days is quite popular. People also leverage free softwares like Jamovi and all, and those are backend R software operating. There are many online resources also available where you could apply statistical tests online. But you should also know what tests to apply. So some basic grounding in biostatistics, that's important. And that takes us to the other area where you should focus on, that is acquiring your quantitative research methods training, qualitative research methods training, and if possible, even upgrade to mixed methods research. Now, areas are changing rapidly. Quantitative survey are no longer just enough to survive. You must also acquire qualitative research skills. You may actually take expertise in one area, but you should understand the other research methods as well. So that's why I recommended taking up trainings in mixed methods research. Now, there are various modeling exercises that you could also get involved in, but those are, let's keep it in the later stages of your skill acquisition trajectory. Now, reading a paper critically. How do you read a paper? So appraising a paper is also important, because before you get started on writing a paper, you must actually have had read a couple of good papers. My suggestion would be to focus on any one particular journal instead of like reading too many journals at the same time. Focus on one particular journal which is within your domain or your discipline or your core area of specialization. Keep reading papers in that particular domain so that you develop the basic know-how. Go for a good journal, a journal that you could understand, or a journal that someone around you could help explain, right? That will align the way you structure your sentences, the way you express yourself in English. It will also give you a visual memory of how tables, how graphs are to be designed for papers going forward. Now, there are many training sessions available where you could actually learn how to write a scientific paper. There are certain rules which make it very easier to write a paper. Of course, your first paper will require very strong handholding from your mentor, your supervisor, or even a senior peer. But as you keep writing, publishing, your skills will only improve. So that's a continuous thing that you must build into your habit. keep writing, and eventually you'll see that you are getting published in good journals. This will take some time, but a lot of reading and a lot of practice at writing. And if your English is weak, that's a deterrent. So please master your English. You don't need to be very high on vocabulary. See, we are not expressing ourselves for our prowess in English. We are trying to communicate in simple terms what you're trying to say. So science does not demand very strong vocabulary, but science demands scientific vocabulary. And that will come to you once you start reading and discussing in those terminologies with your peers. So that takes us to the next point. Who should be your peers? Your peers should be people who are interested in writing papers. So if you build that ecosystem around you, and that peer may not be just your friend, it could be a senior, it could be a junior, it could be a faculty with whom you actually are getting along very well. It could be someone who could guide you on how to read papers, how to reflect on them, how to communicate your science. So choose your ecosystem and participate very actively in that ecosystem. So what exactly is the ecosystem? The ecosystem goes beyond your own department. These days, online platforms are there where you could network with like-minded researchers at equal or near equal career stages. There are teething problems which you could share, complement each other with solutions. And one such arena is getting involved in organizing conferences, organizing workshops. Once you start getting involved as an organizing team, you get to interact more closely with the faculty, with the different people that are coming along. That helps in building your network. Going to conferences must serve at least 2-3 purposes. One, of course, networking, you get to know your people. The other is understanding the thematics. So people with a lot of experience and expertise are usually invited to be on the plenary. If you sit in the audience and listen to all of that, you may start understanding your subject deeply. And that's when you also generate a lot of interest in taking up research topics. That's one aspect. The other aspect is presenting your study in a conference. That gives a lot of confidence, because going forward, when you develop into a full-fledged researcher, your presentation skills are important. How effectively you engage with your audience, how effectively you communicate your research, those are critical skills. That means you should be able to design good PowerPoints, you should have skills at storytelling, and you should have skills at understanding the pulse of your audience. Now, those are a bunch of hard skills and soft skills. I have not mentioned about how to manage references. Now, reference management is yet another area where you can pep up your efficiency. If you master softwares like Mendeley, Zotero, EndNote, that will improve your reference management and your chances of getting published. Bit of hard skills, bit of soft skills. If you club them, strategize within your course curriculum, say of 2 years or 3 years or even a year, or even if you're already as a mid-career or a young faculty or even an advanced faculty, if you could sharpen these skills, it will help you in improving your performance as a researcher. Happy career planning.